JJ, the CPA is here.
JJ, the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. Wanted to do an EIDL application update for the self-employed, sole proprietor, single member LLC, independent contractor, gig worker. If you're going to go apply for the economic injury disaster loan, which includes in the same application a request for the EIDL advance. Now at the end of this, I've got a playlist where you'll learn about the different kinds of EIDL, how you can spend the EIDL, and additional great information in the playlist EIDL. So I'll have a link at the end of this video that'll take you to that. But what I wanted to address is when you are going to apply for this at sba.gov, which is the only place that you're going to apply for this, you do one application, and in that one application, you are applying for the EIDL, and that includes a request for the EIDL advance. You don't get to request the dollar amount that you want for either. You have to apply for the EIDL to ask to be considered for the EIDL advance. If you don't get the EIDL, you may get the EIDL advance. If you don't get the EIDL advance, you may still get the EIDL. Point is, you're doing one application for both. Here's what's key though, is that you need to get your Schedule C that you file with your individual tax return. So you're not a business filing a separate tax return. This is a Schedule C that you're filing with your individual return. So if you have already filed 2019, then you would use 2019. If you haven't, then use 2018. And what I mean by this is that if you've already filed your individual taxes that include the Schedule C for 2019, then you will use 2019. If not, you'll use 18. Now, one of the things it's going to ask for in that EIDL is, what is the business name? So look on your Schedule C here, and whatever has been put on that business name line item, it's what you're going to want to include. Now, for whatever reason, if your business name is left blank, then your business name would just simply be your name. Don't make it up now that you're on a business application. Don't get all fancy and think, oh, I did have a business name. It's not on my tax return. What should I do? Just put your name, okay? Now, in the trade name, if you have nothing on the business name line, it's blank. Then on the trade name, you can put whatever your business name is that you've been using. If you haven't been using a business name, then your business name is you, your trade name is you, okay? And however you list your name on your tax return is how you will list it on both. So if the business name is blank, then you're going to put your name as the business name and the trade name, okay? If there's a business name there, then that's the business name you're going to use. Now, you're going to note here that there's nowhere that it shows a business start date. It's going to ask you for the business start date. So what you want to be as close and as accurate as possible is what year did you start your business? And it would be what year you started filing a Schedule C for that business. If you can't remember, then just do your best, okay? And if you can't remember the exact date, then of the year that you started, you can put 1/1/2016 if that's the year that you started. So just create it the best that you can. It can't be a moment of pause and freaking out over it. It's not listed. Do the best you can to put the year of when you started that business as filing a Schedule C. Then look here, do you have an EIN, an employer identification number for this business? Many, many, many Schedule Cs do not. If you're a single member LLC, then that would be your business name, and your LLC, most likely 99.9% of the time, is going to have an EIN. If you don't have an EIN, then for your business, you're going to list your social security number. It's no big deal if you don't have an EIN. But on your Schedule C, that's where you will look for that information. Now, what is the business address? So on your Schedule C, it should list an address. Whatever that address is, on the last time that you filed your tax return, you will want to use that business address. Now, if you just got a new business in the last 30 days, a new business address, you were officing at home, now you're officing somewhere else, I would recommend that you list what is on your tax return. Now, if you're like, well, I was there and I moved a long time ago, I've only filed 2018, I have not filed 2019, and I have a new business address, then use that address, okay? And then the principal business, okay? There's going to be a question on the EIDL application asking what your business is. So don't go off in a wild goose chase there. What you want to look at is what did you put down on your tax return? What did you list? That's what you would want to list on this application. Now, there is, you'll see here, a code B, okay? So you can just Google Schedule C code B as in boy, or you can Google Schedule C principal business activity code, or Schedule C principal professional activity code, or you can Google Schedule C instructions, and at the end of the Schedule C instructions, which are with the Internal Revenue Service, it'll tell you what that code means. So whatever code has been put there, go find what the code means, and you can find it, okay? Real simple. You got different ways to Google it. You're gonna find it in the Schedule C instructions. Now, it's gonna ask you how many employees you have, okay? Assuming you do not pay employees, and paying 1099 contractors is not an employee, regardless of what you think, regardless of how you categorize it, period, okay? When you file a Schedule C, there's one owner. You may think you own it with your spouse, you don't. Because when you file a Schedule C, you're only able to list one person, period. So, one employee. Now, if you and your spouse share the business somehow, I think you're gonna have to take pause and figure out who's the primary, who have you been reporting this on, do you have one Schedule C, and you might have to check with your CPA or your EA or tax pro. More just, they're not gonna be able to answer how to probably fill out an EIDL, but what they can answer for you is, how did this get reported to the IRS? And I'll tell you this, if you're gonna pause, they're on vacation, it's causing you some stress, then you're gonna have to pick. You're gonna have to look at that tax return and you're gonna have to make a decision. And if you have two Schedule Cs and they don't have an EIN, and there's a Schedule C for you and there's a Schedule C for your spouse or your partner or whoever you're filing jointly with, okay, then I would go with, if it's the same business for some reason, then I would go with the first Schedule C listed. How do you know? Well, it's in the order of the tax return. All I'm saying on this is that if you have multiple Schedule Cs and you have no EIN numbers, you're gonna have to pick, okay? You're gonna have to pick which business is it. All right, so the reason I say that is that when it lists employees for Schedule C, it's going to be one, unless you're literally paying W-2 wages. And I mean W-2 wages. If you're paying wages to employees and you have a Schedule C, that means that you're withholding taxes, you're paying in those payroll taxes on a Form 941. It has nothing to do with filing Form 1099s on people. That is not an employee. Your spouse is not an employee. So if you're not paying anybody wages, then it's one employee when it asks for the employees. Now, there's going to be a question that says, did you receive any compensation because of this pandemic? Okay. If you have received unemployment benefits or PUA, you would list that. How much are you going to list? The total that you've received. If you've been promised an amount and received nothing, then you'll put nothing. If you don't know the exact amount, well, you should, then put an estimate down. So when it says compensation, unemployment benefits, and PUA is taxable, therefore it would be considered compensation. They do not mean compensation from your business. They're saying, do you have compensation because of the pandemic? And then if you got PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, in my opinion, based on, there's no information out there to get a clarification of what they mean by compensation. So here is my opinion. It's my opinion. It's my opinion. And what I have advised to my own clients is that if they receive PPP, they're not listing that when the EIDL application asks for, did you receive any compensation due to the pandemic? Because PPP is not income. It's not taxable income. It's not income. It's not income. Okay? So I don't think you need to list PPP. If you feel you want to list it, then just do it. And then it's going to ask for the brain teaser, the mind belt, which is the income and expenses for the last 12 months. You can't pause here because if you're applying for this, you need the money. It's going to most likely run out fairly soon, and you're going to be left out in the cold if you don't come prepared. And I mean, you need to just figure it out in the next hour. You just need to figure it out. It's too late to call anybody. It's too late to get your books done. You either have it or you don't, and the information that you have available right now is what you're going to use when you're filling out this EIDL, because it needs to be as accurate as possible, okay? But you're in a state of emergency here. When you get approved, if you do, you're going to go to a bank and you'll have the opportunity then to provide a more accurate number if you don't have it in the moment right now. So let me just be really clear here. This doesn't mean that you just pull a number out of thin air. It doesn't mean that you just spend 3 seconds and make up the number. Okay? If you own a business, you should have some way of knowing what you've collected in the 12-month period. So what it's asking there for is the 12 months before the pandemic. So they want from February 1st, 2019 to January 31st, 2020. That's 12 months, okay? Do the best you can. Maybe you have it, boom, awesome, okay? What's your total income, okay? You have ways to figure it out, right? And let me just put it this way. If someone said to you, in the next hour, I'm going to give you whatever you made from February 1st, 2019 to January 31st, 2020. If I said to you, whatever you made, whatever your gross income was from February 1st, 2019 to January 31st, 2020, I'm going to write you a check for it. You would be clear-minded right now, and you would know how to figure out how much you made. Okay? Go figure it out. Now, same thing with your expenses. Now, you may say, well, what expenses and what do I include? And is it mileage? Is it repairs? Is it home office? Well, it's the expenses that you're going to include or would include on Schedule C. Okay? This is for a 12-month period. It's not going to be able to line up with your tax return either year. Okay? I personally believe, opinion, that you can use an estimate. It can't just be like I just said. It needs to be based on something. Okay, if you have a Square and you're collecting credit card, you should be able to look at your monthly reports and go, oh, that's what I'm bringing in. If you have a separate bank account, take a look at the bank statements. Don't include money that you put in there personally or money from loans or money from PPP, right? But you should be able to look at your bank statements, right? So you should have some idea of what it is that you make. If you have to estimate it, then make sure it's as accurate as possible. And then same thing with your expenses. Because I'll tell you this right now, I get it as a self-employed individual. Seems a little overwhelming, maybe, right? You don't want to do the wrong thing, but then here's what happens, okay? You're going to put the mouse aside. You're going to be worried. You're going to be concerned. You're going to overthink it. You're going to be like, well, should I include this or should I include that? And then guess what's going to happen? They're going to run out of money. So what you need to do is just the best you can. And I'll tell you this right now, okay? If you really need the money, if you really need it, then you're already going to know how to figure out how to make this happen, right? I mean, you're a business owner. You're a small business owner, sole proprietor, self-employed, independent contractor, gig worker, single member LLC. Are you kidding me? I mean, you're scratching it out. I mean, seriously, think how hard it is to do what you're doing. I mean, you're busting it out. So you have zero excuses that you don't know how to come up with your income and your expenses. You don't. You have zero excuses. I don't care if you're not good at numbers. I don't care if you're like, well, I have it over here and I have it over there. You know how to get those numbers. So find them. And then I'll just say this, and I say it as a little bit of a push. Okay? I'm pushing on you here. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to push on you, but I'm going to do it gently. Okay? And hear me when I say this, but if you can't come up with the number and you're using that as a reason to not continue the application, then I don't think you need this money. And so therefore you should not apply for it, right? Don't apply for it if you don't need it. And a good indicator for me, if I'm talking with the client, is when they're panicking over this to the extent of they're almost too worried about these things and doing it wrong. Because here's the thing. I want you to think of this. Your house is on fire. Are you going to wait till the fire truck gets here to figure out how to turn on the garden hose and pull that garden hose around and start putting out the fire? I mean, are you going to wait till the firefighter comes and goes, well, I mean, I didn't know if I should put this hose on or this hose. You're going to wait for the firefighter to go, well, should I put my thumb in front of the hose so it comes out? Or should I just get close enough and just let the water come out? Or, should I run to the store and do I need to get a nozzle, to put it on there? Because if I have a nozzle, it's going to shoot it really far, right? What are you going to do if your house is on fire? You're going to figure it out. You're going to make it happen. Okay? You're going to go, and you're going to just figure out how to get a hose going on the fire on your house. Hopefully you've already called 911. So if you're not in that set of circumstances, okay, then I don't think you need to get the money. And I'm not saying it as a knock. I'm not saying you don't deserve it. I'm just saying if you can't figure this out, because you're a business owner, okay, you're filing Schedule C here, okay, then I don't think you need the money. And then let me say it another way, and this would be with all due respect here, okay? If you can't figure that out, then I don't believe you have a real business. And I know that sounds so insulting, but you don't have a real business if you don't know what you're making and what you're spending. You don't have a real business. It's a hobby, and you should not apply for the EIDL. This is not playing business. It's not playing office like I used to when I was growing up. Believe it or not, I played office. I played business. Okay? If you don't know how to come up with your gross income and you don't know how to come up with your expenses, you don't have a real business, and therefore you have no business applying for the EIDL. Get your blood boiling a little bit there? Okay? Good. Okay? If you're like, well, I have a real business, how dare you say that? Well, good. That means you do have a real business, and I'm just giving you a push as a CPA. Then go figure out your numbers. Go figure them out. You got no time to wait on anybody else. Okay? You're self-employed. You're a gig worker. You're an independent contractor. You're a sole proprietor. You're a single member LLC. And you know why you're that? Because you don't need anybody else. You're scratching out your own living. You don't need an employer. So you don't need someone to come up with your numbers, because this will be the number one reason that either you or many self-employed individuals, sole proprietors, gig workers, independent contractors, single member LLCs that won't apply for the EIDL because they freeze on this. So that's why I'm pushing you. It's because I love you. And I think if you do need it, you would have kept listening. If you do need this, you would have been maybe a little upset if I challenged you that you don't have a real business because you couldn't come up with your numbers. You see what I'm saying? Okay? So, your house is on fire, yes? Then go get the hose, figure it out, and get her done. Another reason I'm pushing you like this is that the money's going to run out very quickly, in my opinion. Okay? It's not funded anywhere near, nowhere near where PPP was. You have zero time to screw around on this. You got your Schedule C for the last time that you filed. Figure out your income and expenses. Do the best you can and hit submit. I've got a list of additional documents, a general list on my website, jjthecpahelp.com. 0 booby traps there for you. So listen, I'm on your side. That's why I'm pushing you. So that's a light coach video right there. All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. And I tell you what, within the hour, you need to have hit submit. Go to sba.gov, go to the COVID-19 yellow strip at the top, click on it. You'll see an option for funding options. Click on it. You'll see something this big, blue. It says apply here, okay? Apply, you're gonna start entering in that information. You have to complete it. It's gonna time out. You don't get to save it. Within the hour of watching this, 0 excuses, 0. You need to have already applied, doing the best that you can, because guess what? If you've watched till here, I believe you. You need it. So go get it. You don't need anybody. You don't need to rely on anybody. Go get it. Make it happen. On your numbers, figure it out. All right, hey, thank you for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe, and then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me. All right, let's rock. Go get it.